There have been very few presidencies in U.S. history where the commander-in-chief was targeted by his own deep state and did not get protected by the immunity. That has now changed today with the recent 6-3 immunity decision by the Supreme Court, which is good and bad. We're going to explain why.
It's the Kacee Allen Show.
The Supreme Court of the United States ruled 6-3 in favor of granting President Trump the immunity in certain actions related to his presidency, which include the January 6th insurrection, in which they want to say that he was responsible for inciting the Capitol Hill protest that day, which that obviously didn't happen. That can now be debunked and cannot be used against President Trump. This also applies to the election interference case in Georgia, in which Fani Willis is trying to prosecute President Trump as well. These are things that are now protected by the immunity clause. So President Trump will now be able to pretty much get through these baloney charges that the deep state is trying to pin against him. So this case was originally filed from a lawsuit by a group of Democratic lawmakers and advocacy organizations. These corrupt organizations claim that Donald Trump abused his power during his time in office, and the plaintiffs argued that Trump had violated the Constitution by engaging in a pattern of corrupt behavior, including pressuring foreign governments to interfere in U.S. elections and using the office of the presidency for personal gain. So that was the most ridiculous claim that you could possibly come up with there against former President Trump. And because of this, the Supreme Court reached a decision authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, held that presidents enjoy a certain degree of immunity from prosecution for official acts, even if those acts are alleged to be corrupt or illegal. The ruling established a two-tier justice system of presidential immunity for official acts that are core to the president's constitutional authority, such as making foreign policy decisions or issuing executive orders. The court held that presidents enjoy absolute immunity from prosecution, and this means that if a president is accused of engaging in corrupt or illegal behavior in this course of carrying out these core duties, they cannot be prosecuted while in office. So that is good in President Trump's case because the corrupt justice system has been totally against him since the very beginning. But when you talk about President Obama's case, when he unlawfully drone striked innocent civilians, he cannot be prosecuted for this. That is now off the table from being used against him. Same with any other president in the past or in the future that breaks the law. And this includes President Biden. So this is a win and a loss. It's a good thing temporarily for the entire Trump investigation, and this will bring balance in the sense of this election. But let's just say 30 years from now, we have a president who commits treasonous acts. That will now not be able to be used against him in the future because during that time in office, it's protected by immunity. So that would be good if we had full faith in the person that we're electing not to engage in corrupt behavior. But we've seen a pattern of the exact opposite effect as time has gone on, ever since, really after JFK. The court's decision was met with mixed reactions, and supporters of the ruling argued that it is necessary to protect the executive branch from politically motivated persecutions to preserve the separation of powers. They contend that the decision is consistent with the Constitution's design and will help ensure that presidents can carry out their duties without fear of reprisal. Critics of the ruling, however, argue that it is too far in shielding the presidents from accountability. They can contend that the decision effectively places presidents above the law and undermines the principles of the equal justice of our system. And they also point out that the ruling could have a chilling effect on future prosecutions of presidential misconduct. Like I said, this is a big deal if future presidents are not held accountable for their decisions. Barack Obama getting away scot-free is a terrible example, and we cannot let that supersede and happen again. But Under this new ruling, that is very possible and very likely. The Supreme Court's 6-3 immunity decision is likely to have a significant impact on the ongoing legal battles surrounding President Trump. While the ruling does not completely shield Trump from the prosecution, it does raise the bar for prosecutors seeking to hold him accountable for his actions while in office. The decision also sets a precedent that could shape the legal landscape for future presidents facing similar allegations of misconduct. Even though Biden will say that President Trump was behind January 6th, he legally cannot pursue him over this anymore. Same with the election interference. These are all just bogus crimes that have been weaponized against him. And the Supreme Court clearly realizes that. And it's effective that they did this now. And I think it's very important under this individual circumstance. But like I said, after this is going to be incredibly unpredictable as to what presidents are going to be able to do. This could change a lot with the commander-in-chief. So here's Biden's reaction to the 6-3 ruling. He wasn't too happy about it.
The presidency is the most powerful office in the world. It's an office that not only tests your judgment, perhaps even more importantly, it's an office that tests your character. Because you not only face moments when you need the courage to exercise the full power of the presidency, you also face moments where you need the wisdom to respect the limits of the power of the office of the presidency. This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. With today's Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, that fundamentally changed. For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle.
This sets a very dangerous precedent moving forward by not holding the commander-in-chief accountable for his actions. As much as Joe Biden has been obliterated from that debate, it gets even worse for him. Now he can't even weaponize half of the cases that they're trying to use against Trump to take away votes and put him in jail. It just makes them look like a fool. So yeah, I think we're also going to see a change within the Democratic candidate. They have until August to decide whether they're going to keep Joe Biden or they're going to pick somebody else. So we'll have to see how that decision affects the Biden administration and their support that they're losing every day, and how this helps Trump, because I think it definitely will. I mean, it just purely gives evidence that this has been a fraud from the very beginning. It's a sham, and it does not take, really anything to see through it. So very dangerous precedent, very scary waters right now. This does give Trump temporary advantage in this specific election. Moving forward, it's a different story. We'll have another episode coming up after 4th of July, and we'll also be streaming the presidential debates in the future. Make sure to check that out, and have a happy 4th of July.